Welcome to All in Motion. This is your host, Scar City. And on behalf of my partner, Jacob Harrison, and the whole All in Motion staff, we want to welcome you all to an amazing episode with our guest, Emma E2K, on episode number 44, Healing Queenz. Thank you, everyone, for joining to another episode of All in Motion. This is your host, Scar City. Today, I have a very, very special guest. I've been trying to get her on the podcast for a very long time, and I'm very excited to have her. She's an amazing, amazing person, and I want you all to get to know her. The person I'm speaking of is none other than Emma Z. Ramos. A lot of people know her as Emma E2K. She was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. While living there, she became a writer, a poet, and then she actually became a publisher and chief editor of E2K magazine, which was a great magazine, right? She is a radio personality. She has been an open mic host and motivational speaker. She now resides in Florida, and in addition to being CEO of a successful marketing company, E2K Worldwide Magazine, LLC, she is founder, president of a nonprofit called Healing Queenz. She's an amazing person, very accomplished, and I want to introduce her here to All in Motion. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you. It's great to be here. One quick correction is E2K Worldwide Services, LLC.
Yes. Thank you for correcting my bad reading. Thank you. I appreciate it. But you have so many accolades, so many accomplishments that
I know.
It's mind-boggling because the average person is just, trying to get started on one. You already have accomplished 10 of those different businesses. Shows there's a lot there, right, to unpack.
Yes.
So how you feeling? How you feeling today?
I'm blessed and honored that you have asked me to join the podcast. It's weird for me to be on this side of it. As you know, from doing radio and then having my own podcast, I'm used to interviewing other people. So right. Usually when I'm being interviewed, and there's very few times that I accept interviews just because of the weirdness of it. But you're such an amazing host, so I know you can rock it. So I know I'm in good hands with you.
Oh, absolutely. And we go way back, so we're going to get into all of that. But I want to start out with this first question, which is, can you tell me a little bit about who you are, the Healing Queenz? We know all your accomplishments, but what is something that you want to share with the All in Motion audience to give an introduction to your own self?
I would say I come from humble beginnings. I was born and raised in the Bronx, Jacoby Hospital, more than 50-something years ago.
Stand up. Let's go.
I've been an OG to the game and, have learned a lot. School of Hard Knocks, got my full degrees and my badges and my honors, just knowing how to survive in that environment. I've taken things that I've learned and have tried to apply them to better not only my life, but all those that are around me. So my mother has taught me that we share, right? Whatever you share. So when I learn something, I like to share it with my community, with my tribe. That is where the motivational thing comes in. Even when I was in negative circles, I still was the most positive person in that negative circle. And that applied to every neighborhood I've stepped into, which is why I have so many friends that are not friends, but I am their main person. And even with the guys, they are not cool with females, but I am the female that they'll give a pass to. And even with the females, they don't get along with the other females, but they give me a pass. And that's because I come in with good intentions all the time and great energy. Even though a lot of things have happened to me in my life, I don't let that make me bitter. Do I have my days? Oh, absolutely. I have my days that I'll break down or whatever, but then I remind myself that I have purpose in this world, which led to Healing Queenz, which is a nonprofit organization that does life with women before, during, and after crisis, and whatever that looks like. So each woman is different. We talk about anywhere from domestic violence to a woman that just wants to maybe change her career, to a woman that's getting divorced and now has to figure out how she's going to do her life with her children, from a woman to her children already grown and just left their household and now she doesn't know what to do. So it varies, the women that we do life with.
No, for sure, for sure. And I appreciate that introduction, and I want to get into it. So I know you gave a little introduction about Healing Queenz and some of the services that you offer. And without going into too much detail about that from the first question into the second question, how would you view domestic violence now, like on a scale in terms of statistically, without going into too much detail about your clients, increase or decrease?
Yeah, well, obviously it has increased, and that was due to the pandemic. In the pandemic, it actually increased, and that was because now when there was a lockdown, there was a lot of people that were locked down with their abusers. There was a lot of people that didn't even know they were living with their abusers until there was a lockdown. There was a lot of children, because they were home and they weren't going to school. That was their outlet, going to school and leaving their house for their programs. Now they couldn't do that. Now they're in the home with their abuser. So yeah, so in the pandemic, it actually tripled, and we're seeing that increase now. 3 years later, we still are dealing with that, with those times that everybody was on lockdown. So yeah.
Right. And you jumped right into the next question, which I was going to ask about the pandemic, which you have already. You jumped into some of it, and you basically mentioned that due to the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, that people in terms of like domestic violence. But what about personal relationships in general? Do you think, because some people I talk to, they say it has helped them, and some people I talk to, they say it has hurt. Some people got closer, and some people got divorced, right? And some people were in abusive situations. But has there been anything positive you would say that has come out of the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of like relationships and unity?
As far as the women that I have come across, no, it's been a hurtful time. I know one that I can pull out, a relationship that actually did get better when they had to lock in and really kind of count on each other. But that's like 1% out of everybody else that I've dealt with. I mean, I'm sure that there's good stories. Those are not the women that have reached out to us,
Right.
not the women that we are now still helping heal from, those situations.
That's interesting. I wonder what was significant about that one relationship versus the rest of them where it's not successful. What do you think is the reason for that?
Because they were very busy. So they never really had the chance to really get to know each other, if you will. Right. And so that time they really took to engage in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So they were in a relationship, but they were so busy each other doing other things that the pandemic almost gave them a vacation.
Right.
And they were able to kind of relearn each other, relove each other.
Take a break. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. So basically what you're saying is that, they were able to take a break, and that gave them an opportunity to just chill because they were dealing with so much work. So in a scenario like that, okay, so I see what you're saying. Right, for that, and I'm just curious because the number is so low versus so many people you said that were dealing with domestic violence issues and just fights and just a lot of trauma in the relationship. So that's very interesting. One of the questions I want to ask you is, so I know you have Healing Queenz and it has been successful for you, and I know how important it is, and you've been moving through your selected field, and you've been successful at it. How important is it that we have Healing Queenz as well, and why?
So while I've been moving through Healing Queenz, that has not stopped me from mentoring and pouring into men that also reach out to me. And it just was sad because I still will pour into them, but I would tell them, listen, you need to find someone else, because I really kind of catered to the women. I'm sorry. And I used to feel bad. And someone told me, but why you just don't have a program that deals with the kings too? And then I started really like kind of thinking about that, like, so how are we out here on a mission encouraging women to heal from whatever they're healing from, and we're not doing it for the men? That don't make no sense. If we're not pouring into the men that these women, once they heal, are going to go on to this, the world, and bump into these men that's still broken, we're going to get them coming back again and again, because they're going to be healed, go into a broken relationship, get broken again, have to come back and get help. Instead of doing that, let's pour into the men. Let's love on the men and encourage them to heal. So like that, now you have two units healing, and when they come together, that's going to be such a powerful and healed home for the children or future children that they may have.
Yeah, no, that's a powerful answer. And you led into another question that I have for you, which is, what do you think the percentage is, based on what you've been dealing with this for some time now? Mm-hmm. What is the percentage of, like, men that get abused by women versus women that get abused by men? Because I know most people would say 95% men that abuse the women, but do you ever experience a situation where it's a man being abused by a woman?
Yes.
Or does that never happen?
No. That happens, and more frequent than people know, because it's hard for the men to step forward and admit something like that. And that has to do with the ego, and not even ego, I would say more manhood. And, a man don't cry, and much less a man don't get beat up by a girl. And so they don't really, it's hard for them to move. Maybe if they would speak up more, their percentage will go higher. But for now, the women are the higher percentage of, being in these domestic situations, because they will step out. And I think it's due to, because they're the ones that stay with the children. Some of the men that are abused don't stay with the children. They'll leave on their own, but we don't know why they're leaving. So they don't take the kids with them. The women, even when they get abused, they take the kids with them. And I think because, of course, they have the children, anybody that's, with the children gets more sympathy, gets more empathy, right? Because now there's kids involved. And so it sometimes doesn't even matter if it's the woman that's starting the situation or not. If she has children, we're prone more to make sure that the cycle ends with those children.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna ask you one more question about this, and then we'll turn the leaf, and we'll talk about some more positive things. So one last question for you is, this is an open-ended question, right? So there's no right or wrong answer. I just want to ask you, when it comes to these types of situations, when the abuse starts, right, where's this coming from? Because, we all know that, like, a baby doesn't know how to abuse someone, right? I understand it's nature versus nurture, and sometimes they're taught these behaviors, but where do you think this is coming from? If the child does not see abuse in the household, but then they still become abusive, whether it's a boy or girl, they grow into a young boy or a young man. A young man or a young woman. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from? Do you think it's television, social media? Like, where is this abuse coming from?
It could be a mixture of all that, and whoever they are around. So maybe they didn't see it in their family unit. Maybe they didn't see the mother, the father, and maybe, their parents had the perfect relationship, but now they go and meet someone, right? And their partner or their partner's family maybe was abusive. So now that their partner is a product of that. And so what happens is that partner is broken. They again mesh up with somebody that's broken. Eventually, one of the two got to win. Either that person is going to change the other person, or the other person is going to change the other person. You know what I mean? Right. So either you make them better, or he makes you worse, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
And that's really where that comes from.
No, for sure. And I agree with that sentiment. I mean, like I said, the world that we're surrounded by. It's a physical world, you're a product of your environment, and in a mental world where they can be exposed to certain things and subscribe to certain things where now they take on those traits and characteristics. So yeah, I appreciate that answer. Now, to turn the leaf on some positive things, I'm hearing through the grapevine that you actually have, you've become an author, and now like you're doing movies. Like what is going on? Can you talk to the people about that? What's going on?
So last year or the beginning of this year, I get all the months and years already entwined, but I believe it was the beginning of this year. Last year, I have a great producer friend of mine that reached out to me, and writer. He's a producer and writer from New York. It was funny because I was being interviewed for another podcast, and I went to film, and they were recording. He was the film crew. And I was talking about Healing Queenz, and he was like, hey, you ever did a commercial or anything, for Healing Queenz? Let me know. I got you. So, people always offered, yeah, I got you, this and that. And when it comes to the time you reach out to them, oh, I can't, I'm so busy. I was like, wow, a commercial would be cool. We don't have, a commercial done. And here is a professional film crew offering to do a commercial and not charging. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to Vega and see. Vega was a man of his word, and he came through. He flew from New York here to Florida, let me know when he was going to be here. And we knocked. So the idea was to do a commercial. The commercial turned into a short film.
Okay, hold on. Before you go on, let's plug this person, because I know who you're talking about. Let's plug them, so we give them a little plug and we give them a shout out.
Yes, for sure. So Vega, his handle on Instagram is, oh my God, What Up Vega. He's doing so many incredible things. What Up Vega. Yeah, he's on IG as What Up Vega. His name is Vega Montanez, and he's an amazing, when I tell you an amazing person, amazing, a man of his word. Right now, he's going ham on these movies. He's up to like, his 10th or 12 right now. And this is the first time he worked with a nonprofit, which was us. And again, the point was to do a commercial, turned out it to be a short film. He did the filming, he did the editing. I was executive producer. So the first time I was an executive producer to a project, got me excited about that too. He wrote out some things, but then I added some other things to it, which ended up being a short film, which was amazing. It has now on YouTube, I believe, more than 36,000 views. It's running, it's still, people still seeing it. It's something that's very serious. So
before it begins.
When a person's doing a lot of stuff when they can't remember.
Yeah, but they can't think of, he got so much going on. But I know all your work, and I appreciate you introducing me to Vega. He's a good man, and I have invested in his companies as well and his movies. So
to invest and get their bank back, definitely reach out to him and let him know we send you to him, because he's about to blow up like something crazy.
We call him the Dominican. We call him the Dominican Tyler Perry.
Yes.
So he's doing his thing.
For sure.
So, all right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you did something by the name of...
So shout out to the J Rose Experience. That's actually how I got to meet Vega. So so shout out to my niece. She adopted me as her titi. So that's J Rose. She's a great poet out there in the Bronx, New York.
Yes, ma'am. You did something called Healing Queenz Journal. I want to hear about that.
So one of the workshops that we do, I always ask the women to journal, right? Journal is so one of the tools to healing. It's soothing. It helps a lot of people when you journal, or when you jot down. Like our minds are running so much, so when you jot down, when you write, whether it be poetry, whether it be but journaling when you're healing it goes hand in hand. I'm always asking the women to go buy journals, or I'm always buying journals and giving them to them. And I started thinking, like, why don't produce our own journals? At the same time, when you purchase a journal from Amazon, the proceedings go back to Healing Queenz. So even though I'm an author, all the money, honestly, I don't collect any of that. And all that goes right back to the organization. So there's three kinds. There's Healing Queenz journal, and that's your regular journals with lines. And then we have Healing Wellness Journal. Now that Healing Wellness Journal is it's a little more in depth. It'll ask you certain questions that you need to answer every day. It'll keep you updated with, it's like a tracker. It's like a healing tracker. Have down like your weight, how many times you sleep, that type of thing. So when you do it, you go back to it and you start seeing where you need to work the most at. So do you need to sleep more? Do you need to exercise more? Like, what do you need to do? And because if you ask people that, they're like, oh, I don't know. But if you journal and you do the wellness journal, when you come look at it, you'll know. You won't have to guess. It'll be right there in black and white. Oh, wow, I only sleep for 4 hours. Wow, I don't even exercise. Wow, I don't even do this. And then you yourself will know where's the areas that you need to work on. And then the same we have for the men. So we have also Healing Kings. We have Healing Wellness for the kings.
Okay, yeah. And what I'm gonna do is after I ask you this next question, allow you some time just to tell the people where they can find those books and where they can find your works and where they can find you at. The last question I have for you is, let's just say that you have people out there, right, that listen to this podcast. They listen to All Emotion Podcast. They know that we deal with mental health, people going through all types of issues in the world today because there's a lot of things that are not dealt with. What advice would you give to someone who's currently dealing with a domestic abuse situation and they feel like there's no way out? They may be suicidal, they may be homicidal, they may feel hopeless. What is some advice that you would give to someone like that?
Well, my first advice would be, before you make any decision, do a safety exit plan. And what I mean about that is, don't wake up one day, oh my God, I'm tired of him, punching me in my face. I'm gonna tell him I'm leaving and I'm out. Because that's the most dangerous time, when you awaken to understand that you are in an abusive relationship, because this person knows you and knows how to manipulate you. The minute you change your ways, now they're losing grip on you. And so now they feel they have to either hit you more or do something to you more aggressive to continue to have you there. So until you have a exit plan, and that means, if I leave from here, where am I going to go? And I cannot tell him or her, yo, I'm out. Because that's confrontational right there. There can be a fight. They can decide to do absolutely whatever they're going to do because they're desperate now. You're leaving them. That's a no-no, especially if they're narcissists. So you have to make that plan, that exit plan. Okay, when they go to work, I'm leaving everything behind. I'm taking only my important papers, and I'm going to, and wherever you go, it has got to be a place that they never heard of, that they don't know where this person is or who this person is or how to even get to that person's house. If it's someone that out of state, even better. But if it's, if you can't travel that much because of no finances or whatever have you, have an exit plan. Start making these phone calls to the domestic violence shelters and ask them, when do they have a placement? When, what's the time frame? Sometimes you can go in right away, but sometimes you have to wait like 30 days, which is another horrible thing because it's so packed. So you have to figure out, what am I going to do in these next 30 days until there is a place for me? Where am I going to go? Like, you have to make an exit plan. And before you leave, don't start worrying about taking a Louis Vuitton bag with you. Worry about taking your paperwork, your license, your birth certificate, those type of things that you're going to need to start a new life and to start over. Clothes you can even forget about too, because you get that in donations and all that. Pictures that maybe are sentimental to you, then you get a bag, and whatever you can throw in, that's what you throw in there, and you go. Same thing if you have children. if you're going to leave, you're not going to leave at 2 a.m. where these kids are going to get up and start crying or talking and he's going to wake up, or vice versa, right? So you're going to wait till they go to work or till they go to the gym, or you have to wait till you know their schedule, just like they know your schedule, you know theirs, and how long of a time frame you have. So if they're leaving for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they're going to the store, you have to do what you need to do in those 20 minutes and get out. That an abuser will go, someone that's being abused will go back to their abuser 7 to 10 times before they decide they're not going to go back anymore.
Yeah, that's a tough statistic.
Very tough.
And there's a lot of people dealing with that. And to all those that are dealing with that, definitely feel free to reach out to Emma. And with that said, let's do the typical all in motion exit. And we're going to talk about how can people get in contact with you? What are all of your social media links and your information? So let's start out with where can they find the Healing Queenz book, the journal?
The Healing Queenz journal, you go to Amazon and just type in Healing Queenz journal. And so all of them will.
And how's that spelled?
Healing Queenz, the Queenz is with a Z.
Okay.
So it's healing, regular healing, Queenz with the Z at the end. So Healing Queenz journal, all 3 journals will come up. And again, anybody that purchases, with the purchase of any of the journals, it goes right back to the organization, which helps us continue the programs that we currently have. It's helping us now. We're about to get a van to be a little more mobile, to be able to pick up donations and drop off donations, and to help us with Hit the Block. Hit the Block is something that we do at the end of the month, every last Saturday of the month. We go out there to feed the homeless and give them care packages, clothing, whatever it is that we've collected over the month that we don't give to those that we're servicing. We go and take it out to whoever's out there in the streets.
For sure. And how about your other social media? How could people reach you?
So to reach out to Healing Queenz, the website is healingqueenz.org, and that's again with the Z, healingqueenz.org. Once you go to healingqueenz.org, we have everything, every way to get in contact with us. We have a link to our podcast. I mean, everything that related Healing Queenz is up there, even for the journals. If you go there, there's a link that you can click to Amazon to get the journals. If you want to reach out to me on social media, I am Queen Emma E2K on pretty much everything. I'm Emma E2K. I think just on IG I'm Queen Emma E2K, but I think if you type in Emma E2K, I'm Googleable. Soy Googleable. Google me.
There we go. And is there anything else you want to share with the All in Motion audience? I know you also have a podcast, right?
Yes, I do. I have a podcast.
Want to share anything about that? I know that your listeners are going to want to listen to this, and the All in Motion audience is going to want to know about your podcast also.
Absolutely. So the podcast is really a platform to encourage, motivate. It started for the women, right? But now since we deal with the kings, it also applies to the kings. Even though sometimes I address the queens because it says Healing Queenz, it can, it definitely, the men could apply. And we talk about all topics. I interview some people that are talking about the topic. So these people, yes, they have credentials, and yes, some of them may be famous and some of them not. At the end of the day, it's not about that. It's really about the topic at hand. So if we're talking about domestic violence, the person is talking about that. If we're talking about, basically, that's just it. It's just really promoting Healing Queenz, the organization. Us nonprofits, we got to be out here because we're not doing things for to get paid. We don't really get paid. It's not something that I'm doing for money. Healing Queenz says we got to collect money to be able to help others, which is not always the easiest thing, especially for me that I've always had profit companies and CEOs, and I know how to get that money. But with Healing Queenz, it's whole different. Nonprofit is just a whole different animal.
Right.
But we appreciate those that have been faithful, that donate to us, not just monetary, but we have people donating, clothing and spaces. Do we need more help? Absolutely, because the more help we have, the more people we can service and we can help. So if you're
Sure.
interested in helping, $5, $2, $1, it goes a long way. Go to the website, healingqueenz.org. That's healingqueenz.org. Yeah, to sponsor, if you want to come in as a sponsor, so each episode has the sponsors. And so we put the sponsors either logo, or I give credit to those sponsors to make that particular episode happen. I have some sponsors that just sponsor the entire month. I have some sponsors that just every month they send a certain portion of money, like a monthly kind of subscription, if you will. So there's plenty of ways and different ways that you can support the podcast. Again, all the money that's collected from the podcast goes straight back to Healing Queenz, the organization. It does not come to me. So for Healing Queenz, I work free. That's why for E2K is where I make my money.
Sure, for sure. And for those that are looking to give a donation or help out, that is tax deductible, correct?
We are a 501c3. We're tax deductible. So if you donate to us, we are a tax write-off.
Absolutely. And listen, I appreciate having you, my sister. I know you've done great work in the time that I've known you. And I know you're going to continue to do great work. And we appreciate you coming on to All in Motion. And on behalf of myself and my partner, Jake Harrison, and the whole All in Motion staff, we want to say thank you to you and big shout out to Healing Queenz. And we look to hear from you again in the future. And peace and blessings and light, love and light.
Oh my God, thank you guys so much. It's been awesome. Like, I don't know why I don't do more interviews. I love this. Well, I know why I don't, because nobody takes care of me like good people. So I know I'm in good hands. This is an amazing podcast. I'm definitely, you're gonna have to now step into mines.
Yes, I'm there.
We could do some cross promo for sure. Shout out to the whole team over there. You guys are doing good. I tune into the podcast. Sure. I don't listen to too many of the podcasts, but you guys be on it, and and I love it. Sometimes y'all say things I can't or won't. So yeah.
Right. Sure, for sure.
So thank you for having me, though.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. I love you.
Talk to you soon. Love you too.
All right, peace.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of All in Motion. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the All in Motion podcast by going to allinmotionpodcast.com/subscribe so you can listen to all of our future episodes. On behalf of my partner, Jacob Harrison, and the whole All in Motion staff, take care and look out for episode number 45 coming soon.